The Dune technical test is over, and a lot of people are asking, well, how was it actually? Is it now worth the money? Will it be a standard Funcom release where basically everything is broken and we have to wait months or even years till they fix it? Well, first, the good news no, it isn't. And there's a lot to discuss here, though. So, first things first, how does the game feel as a survival game slash Dune game? So, as somebody who has only briefly read the books and watched the movies, my Dune knowledge is relatively low, but I certainly feel it, right? I'm certainly going through the world, and there's tons of lore there. There's tons of like story there, which is trying to explain a world which most people might basically just know from the movies. What I do really like is the idea that this is an alternate timeline, right? So Paul Atreides never was born in the timeline. And a lot of things which happened in the books, in the movies, basically didn't happen or happened differently, right? And that's what they build on. And that gives them a lot of freedom to just do the thing they want to do without having to follow the books or without having to follow the movies too closely. Now it's still Dune, still a lot of the rules apply for this world, right? And so that works out. And as I said, there's a whole campaign there, and the Dune thing feels really good. Now, how is the survival aspect though? Because in the end, this is a survival game. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, the survival aspect is pretty standard, and I think this is definitely one of Funcom's best survival works they have ever done. And you can definitely see that Funcom is learning from their previous installations, and they are taking that with them. And that's a pretty good thing, and I'm pretty happy with that. The only thing which is a little bit awkward right now, and I'm pretty sure they can fix it over time, is the flow. So at the beginning, the game is throwing you into a tutorial, and then they are throwing you into the first area, and the first area is still functioning as a tutorial, and then the real game starts in area 2. And the thing is that because of that, in area 1, if you are already a survival player veteran, it's pretty boring. I can't describe it any other way. It is pretty boring, and it feels too slow, and it's clear that this was made for people who have never played a survival game in their life, right? To ease them in and to explain like all the systems so that they can get used to it. And you know what? I can see where they're coming from. I understand that. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens in the second area. And the second area is kind of crazy because, yes, in the second area, the game is definitely picking up. That's where the fun came in. Like, I was kind of bored and not interested in the game when I played the first area. And the only thing which was keeping me going was the Dune aspect. But the moment I got into the second area, it was this whoa, now, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the survival package they are throwing at you. I love it. But the pacing is off. So, when you were getting into the second area, they are basically overwhelming you with new things you can do, new dangers. It's like just in the first area, here are 10 things you have to look out for, right? And then in the second area, it's like, here are 60 things you have to look out for. Good luck. And even as a survival veteran player, I had some moments where it was like, whoa, whoa, okay, let's take a step back here. Let's analyze this. What's going on? Right? So yeah, it's like the flow of moving from the first to the second area is a bit out of whack, and I can only imagine how it is for new players, right? I think they are getting completely overwhelmed in the second zone if they have not completely nailed down the thing in the first one. And yeah, they have to figure that out. So the next thing I want to talk about is a bit of building and also the combat and some of the more probably end game aspects. Keep in mind we have never seen end game in the technical test, but there are hints there. They are like certain glimpses you get from the end game, right? But let's talk about another important aspect first, and that's the building. So you have to, of course, farm resources. And at the beginning, I found the whole you have to scan a resource and then you have to follow the line kind of thing really cool, really interesting. But I definitely also had moments later on where I was in this mindless farm mode where I was just running through the desert farming the resources I need, and I did that in a very mindless manner. And then following the line on the resources was a little bit annoying, but not really a big deal. It's a small thing. Not a small thing is the building. So I don't know who came up with the building system, but I am 99% sure this was made with a controller in mind, right? And it was made for controller users because it feels awkward, which is a real shame because the building itself and what you can do is insane. They give you so many items. You can basically build your dream Dune base and really get into the nitty gritty of what you can do. Yes, in the first zone, it's very simple. I'm not talking about the first zone building. That's like the basics of the basics, not to overwhelm you. But the moment you're getting into the second zone and you are unlocking like all the things you can do with your base, you can build an insane dream base, which is amazing. And it feels so good. But putting down some of the items, and especially when it tries to like click to something, right? There is no free form building. There's always like a magnetism on the parts, so it always tries to connect. And there is definitely some wonkiness there. They have to iron out. Like it's fixable. They just have to figure out what it is, and I hope they do. But yeah, I love the building. But the first, like, if you have never done this before, like the first half hour of the game, you're probably just standing there and go, wait, how does this work? What did I just do? Oh, this is a blueprint? Wait, this is not the thing I wanted to build? Why is this not connecting? What's going on here? Like, there's a lot of wonkiness in the building mode, which is unfortunate. What I do have to say, oh my gosh, the quality of life improvements they're giving you in your base is just one of the best things I have seen in a very long time. Yes, they are offering you that you can immediately craft from your chests, right? Like you're putting items in your chests, you're going to the manufacturing bench, and then you're crafting an item. Pretty standard nowadays, especially with a lot of Unreal Engine games. But they are also offering you that you can immediately craft from another workbench. So let's say you created some iron bars on a what do they call it? It's not a smithy. It's like a module thingy, a smelter. Let's just call it a smelter. I know it's called something else, but it is a smelter in itself, right? You can just now go to the crafting bench and you can immediately take items out of the smelter and use them for crafting. That is so nice. And that goes with every item which is in your base. You can have immediately access to it and you can immediately use it. And it is such a nice feature. They try to really give you this quality of life feeling to nearly everything. I say nearly because then there's also something which is just bewildering to me, and that is that you basically have to carry around two set items, right? You basically have to carry the still suit with you if you are not in the fighting, and then you have to carry your combat armor with you when you are going into fighting, and you have to swap that out whenever you do so. It's a bit weird. It feels weird, and having two like armor sets with you is also a bit weird. So yeah. Speaking about combat, the combat is definitely the most like wonkiness I have seen. It's a lot of jank. It feels weird to say the least. You have a lot of moments in Melee where you are missing, where your character is doing like weird things. There's a bug where you cannot block sometimes. I hope they fix that till release, because that was pretty annoying. You had to swap weapons and then swap back to your melee weapon again so that you could actually block again, which is really, really important. I can also definitely see that melee combat at some point was probably super OP, and they had to nerf it. And had to put some items in which are good against shields so that the melee fighters are not too strong. But yeah, there's a lot of jankiness in the combat. Like sometimes some of the shots which should hit do not hit. Some weird coverage going on, and it feels jank. It just doesn't feel fantastic. That's okay. I'm pretty sure Funcom will iron it out over time because they have always done that. If you are just going back to Conan Exiles and you see the improvements they made over time, it's now a completely different feeling to what it was at the beginning. But it's there. The jankiness is there. And where it gets really janky, and this is what I fear a little bit, let's talk about PvP. So the big PvP block, the big endgame PvP area, was not in the beta because you couldn't reach that. But what they had was the shipwrecks, right? If you don't know, the first shipwreck is a non-PvP area. But then when you were getting into the second zone and you have to go into the shipwrecks to get out the very valuable resources, then you will be marked for PvP. You have like 4 or 5 seconds to react when you are getting into the zone, and they're like, changing zones. They're not telling you what will happen, but it basically means in 5 seconds you will be marked for PvP and everyone can attack you. And so, of course, everyone has to go into the shipwreck to get the rare resources to continue to craft their stuff, or they have to go back to the first shipwreck if they don't want that. You will have PvP sooner than later, right? And I have to admit, it's just jank. Especially if you don't have shields, you die super quick. It's super quickly over. You sometimes don't even have the reaction. I saw some people actually also die to turrets. The Mentat is just putting down a turret in the corner, and before you can even react, the turret has already murdered you. Because a lot of people, when they're going into the PvP ship, do not even have a shield generator yet. And so they're just getting 3-tapped and it's over. Like, it feels very janky. It doesn't feel good. The kill to death time is far too quick. And sometimes you don't really know what killed you. Like, it can absolutely happen that you hear the shots and then you are dead on the ground and you lost your items, and it's like, huh, what happened here? What happened here? Like, keep in mind, for a lot of people this would be pretty annoying because they really just want to get their resources. I know there are ways to get those resources from different means, and of course you can still go back to the first chip, but the game is also not telling you about the different ways on how you can actually get those resources, and a lot of people believe that it is only through the ships, and then they're getting ganked at the ships even though they don't want to have anything to do with that. And that would definitely lead to some discussions in the future. I can already see that. But it makes me wonder how the PvP will work later on. I know we have seen some PvP areas, like Funcom has already showed us a little bit of it. But oh, that didn't look good. So I assume it will be very, very very janky when the game first comes out. And being patient with it is probably the best thing you could do. Like, in general, that's my thought for for the game in general, right? Is this, when it comes out, you want to take your time. Like, it's good, it's fun. I will play it on release. I have already planned tons of content for it. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of it. But it would definitely also be probably one of the best Funcom games at release. At least that's how it feels right now. But I can also already see that the more time you take with the game and you take it slow, the more fun you will have. But with that said, we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. And also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more Dune Awakening videos, we will also focus on a lot of guides here, then you might want to subscribe for more. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.